Is your relationship causing you a lot of pain? I don't sell anything, but I want to share a clip from a video I came across. And this has to do with attachment styles. If you're in a relationship with someone who's really clingy or really avoidant, it is extremely painful, and it doesn't get any better. The pain just gets worse and worse. I'm going to play a clip from you from a podcast I listened to the other day. It was just recently uploaded. Komisar, licensed clinical social worker, is on Dad Saves America podcast. In this 1.5 minute clip, she first starts talking about trust and then the pain of being with someone who doesn't have the amount of right trust, in my opinion. That's their broken attachment style. So let's play that, and then I'll be back on the other side.
Shaped and sculpted very early. And that's what we really don't talk about. That if you want to have children who can have loving relationships and are resilient to the bumps and the adversities of life, then you have to raise them with a certain amount of trust. And trust is formed in the very early days, with that baby being able to trust that you will be there for them when they are most vulnerable. And, we disregard that. And so trust is at the cornerstone of character. Because, yes, I suppose you could say you could be too trusting. I don't know that you can be too trusting. You can be so trusting that you are blind to adversity, I suppose.
Yeah, blind to warning signs. And maybe
but I would rather raise a child who's too trusting than a child who's not trusting enough, right? But again, those, you call them disorders of trust, which are basically attachment disorders, can be treated. And that's really important because it gives hope to people. But I would say that if you're in a relationship with someone who seems to have an attachment disorder, either because they're very clingy or they are very avoidant, I wouldn't marry them unless they get some therapy. And I would make sure that they're treated before you commit to them and that they're committed to changing. Because living with someone who has an attachment disorder for a lifetime is a very painful thing for you, for your children.
I listened to almost this entire podcast. It's super long. I kind of skipped around to some of the parts. She talks about how attachment style can be healed in therapy by having a trusting, securely attached relationship with a therapist, because someone who's never experienced someone being there for them doesn't know how to behave that way. So they can relearn it if they're committed to it and want to do the work. And you heard what she said. I wouldn't recommend marrying someone with that type of attachment style, very clingy or avoidant. And believe me, it's painful, okay? That's why I got divorced. And I think I did a lot of things after my divorce which made it even worse. I think that I put myself in situations with people who were insecurely attached or in hookup situations as I tried to explore my sexuality, not knowing that being with men who would just avoid me after they had sex with me, it's avoidance style, in my opinion, just made me a little bit emotionally, a little bit more rigid or crackly, or I lost some of my secure attachment style by being in these insecure situations. So that's the other point I want to make in this video. And I think dating apps do the same thing, because I went on there to show up and to respond because I am responsive to people. And I was constantly around people who would blow me off or ghost me. And I was trying to figure out how to be okay with all that and how to not be so trusting. Because I am very trusting, and I think trust is a beautiful quality. But then in certain situations or in certain pools, like online dating apps, or hookup culture, I think we put ourselves in situations where we're surrounded by people who are avoidant or want to deal in an avoidant way. A better way to do this, and she goes into this in the video, if you go to the clip about dating advice for young men, because Dad Saves America, he's talking about advice he gives his son about you should make the first move with the woman, you should, you know, lean in for the kiss, and how he's like, Dad, I could never do that because now so many men are told it's toxic or the woman will get mad. And Erica Komisar says that an emotionally stable woman is not going to freak out when a man on a date tries to kiss her. She would just say, no, I don't want to kiss you. And that's what I've done. Like, no, I don't want to kiss you. No. But in this kind of hookup culture that we're in, where people immediately have sex with each other, people are not taking time to find out if this person is emotionally stable. She talks about dating, how dating used to be getting to know someone, going to dinner, going to a movie, and finding out, do I even want to kiss this person? And I think that's really, really great advice, is to just slow down, get to know people. Is this person emotionally stable? Do I want to have sex with this person? Do I want to kiss this person? Because an emotionally stable person is not going to flip out when you open the door for her or you lean in for a kiss. She's just going to say, no, thank you. I think that as far as asking people out, I don't really know. She didn't really go into that part of it, but there's nothing wrong with asking a woman out. She also talks about how men have become so taught in our society that the masculine energy is bad, and she's really against all that. You know, I thought it was a really good interview. But specifically about the attachment style, she also goes into how our society really needs structures, family, relationships, genders, faith, accountability, and that our society has so much gone to this me, my individuality, my joy, my freedom, what I want to do. Oh, I'm going to go to Greece and leave my kids with a sitter. And that we thrive in relationship. That's in her opinion. You might disagree with that. We thrive in relationship with people. And she also talks about how bad it is to drop off your infants in daycare at 6 weeks or 3 months old, because they really learn their attachment style, their safety, their trust in the first 8 months of life through the mother, and later on they learn empathy through the father. She talks about the need for having more male therapists, that we boys need more male role models, and how therapy for men is they really benefit from being in groups. I really thought it was a great interview. She's a psychotherapist, and she talks about different types of therapy. But I found the attachment style part very interesting, because so many of us have been in relationships with people who are avoidant, you know, and we're like hoping that they'll change or trying to get them to change. And they're just not going to unless they're invested in changing their attachment style. And it can get very frustrating to be with someone like that. And so we didn't know what to look for, but that is something we should look for. For me, what I've come to realize is, does this person want to have a difficult discussion? Is this person initiating and willing to have difficult discussions? Is this person willing and able to repair? Because sometimes people have to apologize. I mean, I have to apologize often or make amends, right? Like, oh, I think I overlooked appreciating you for this, or I think I was a little too quick on here, or I didn't really see your point of view here. I'm sorry. I want to acknowledge this now. I think that healthy relationships require people who can repair, who can apologize, who can take responsibility, who are willing to deal with difficult situations, who have empathy. And if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't do that, it's going to be extremely painful. And there's nothing wrong with you. But you just have to realize you can't change people. That's just their situation. And your pain comes from them, I guess, lacking empathy, lacking trust, lacking the ability to connect. Your pain is real. your pain is real. The only relief you can get is go to what she talks about, psychotherapy, to figure out how your childhood impacted your attachment style, or maybe why you're even with this person, and because then the whole unhappiness can center around trying to get this person to change, and there's a lot of focus on this other person, and I think it just weakens our own secure attachment. I think it's damaging, actually. That's what I want to say. I think it's damaging to be in relationships with avoidance. Now, relationships with clingies, I don't have experience with that, because those people I repel right away. I'm like, you're way too clingy, get away. But I've had a lot of experience with avoidance, and I think hookup culture brings avoidance into it, because you don't get to know the person, and especially men can just have sex and just run off. So if you're already avoidant or you're securely attached, I think it can make it worse. And if you're clingy, it can make it even worse. It can just make you feel like so unhinged. And I think we have to be careful about the people that we get into relationships with. That's what I really think is super important. What kind of person is this before we get too close, before we get too invested? And that's why I think dating apps are the worst. And being online, to me as a woman, doesn't feel safe, because I have like all these men trying to get at me. I'm like, I don't know what you want. I just feel like a little bit raw around the edges in these spaces. Whereas in real life, I feel very safe, around men, and I say hi. But online, when I don't know them, yeah, I think we have to really think about that. But I'm going to come back for your comments. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you're having a great Sunday.